If you've been watching before, if you haven't, let me know. We're wondering if you have any favorite Pokemon, and if so, what it is.
Yeah, I was worried about this question. I haven't been a fan for a while now, but I guess it's Charizard. No dragons, stuff like that.
Nice, good. You had an answer. Nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, I tried to
Uh,
prepare for it.
yeah. We'll get straight into Vee-validate questions, and one that you probably have seen before, so I'm sure the answer is not hard to give. How do Vee-validate compare to vuelidate?
Yeah, I think this is one of the age-old questions
Yeah.
when you are choosing a library. So I guess the answer is complicated because let's say with Vue 2, we didn't have a composition API. So Vee-validate really stood in a template-based validation manner, and you couldn't use it any other way. While vuelidate was mostly in the script, so that was mostly the main difference between them. In version 4 of Vee-validate, since we now have the composition API, the line is kind of blurred between the two, but I would say the main difference is Vue-validate if you are trying to validate values, but Vee-validate if you are trying to build inputs. So like UI components and stuff like that. You can use the other, like you can use one to do the other thing but each of them does it better than the other because it's how I guess the philosophy of each one was made. Yeah.
Sure, that makes sense. Another question is, can Vee-validate handle any kind of server-side validations with Nuxt?
While Vue is mostly client-side code, so it doesn't really offer anything in terms of server-side validation, but you can integrate it with pretty much any kind of server-side validation if you are like so the forms have a method called set errors, and that takes a dictionary of the fields and their errors, and most backends return certain error bags objects like that. So in a way you can kind of do it directly, but Vue-validate doesn't really offer anything special for that use case.
Mm-hmm. We had another similar question, so maybe you kind of already touched on it, but it's on the is there possibility to do some stuff there on the same code for client and server side, or do you need to set it up differently?
This is an interesting one. Yes, you can actually do that since Vue-validate doesn't really use any kind of DOM APIs. It's just using or window APIs or browser APIs. It just uses JavaScript and Vue.js. So if the underlying composition functions in Vue.js don't use any kind of browser API, then it will work fine. Otherwise, it won't. But it will be interesting to see some use cases with that.
It seems like you're not escaping these, because one of the last questions we got today was on another comparison, and I don't know if you need to give three biggest differences, but any comments on Vee-validate versus Vue-formulate?
If
Vue-formulate.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, vueformulate are working on a new version of their library. It's called FormKit or something like that. So I'm not sure now what are the changes since they are in private beta or were in private beta. So I didn't follow them around since then. But the main difference, as I can say of right now, is vueformulate offers you components. So these input components, while vuevalidate offers you an API that allows you to build such components.
Cool. Yeah. Let me find. I saw one last question that we can cover here. Is there any reason not to use Vee-validate in a project?
That might seem counterintuitive to say, yeah, but I don't actually use it on my blog. So if you have like a really simple couple of inputs, you don't really have to pull in Vee-validate. It's Vee-validate after like tree shaking, it will be around 5 kilobytes, 7 kilobytes, depending on what you use. But I would say use it if you are actively doing a lot of form validations. But if you only have like one form or two forms in your entire application, maybe do it manually, or it's still up to you if the cost is worth it.
Sure. Sounds good. Well, good. Well, thanks a lot, Abdelrahman. It was a pleasure speaking to you and to watch your talk. I wish you a great rest of the day wherever you are. and hope to see you around in the future.
Thank you. See you around.
See you. Ciao.